Hello, what's up everybody? How is it going? Welcome to another video of tutorial series Learning Codeigniter from Scratch. I'm your host Anwar Ali and I'm here today with a new video and a new topic, and as you can see we'll be learning about pagination using Codeigniter today. And I've already opened a documentation for Codeigniter so that I can explain you easily how it works. So before going to this documentation, I want to explain you how exactly pagination works in PHP before going to Codeigniter. So in MySQL, it's actually all SQL stuffs going on in Codeigniter. So let us just open our news database. Not news, actually inside the PHP specials, there's a table called news. Okay, maybe inside CI we have something more. Yes. So you can see we have around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 news in our database. And let's say I want to show 3 news each time. So what query will I be running to get 3 each time when I'm trying to list the news in the news listing page? So in the first query I want to show like 1, 3 and 4. And in second page I want to show 5, 6 and 7. And in third page I want to show 8, 9 and 13. So this is our target. So how would we achieve this? By running SQL queries. So what queries will be running in order to show 3 news each page, and each page should show different news each time, right? So let's just try to see how it works. I've also covered the concept of pagination in my PHP Specials playlist, but I would just like to revise it quickly. So if I want the first 3 news, what I will do in my SQL is, so select all from news, okay, and I would like to give a limit, right? So I want 3 news each time, so my limit would be 3. Okay, so if I do this and just run the query, you will see I only got 3 news. Yes, but what if I want 3 news starting from ID number 5? So if I go browse it and see, so I have 1, 3 and 4 as the first 3 news, but what if I want 5, 6 and 7? So in that case what I will do is limit. So limit, either we can write the number of entries that we want after limit. For example, if I want 3 entries, I'll just write 3, but I can have 2 values after limit, comma separated each, in such a way that if I want to start from the first entry, this is my index, 0th index in MySQL means the first entry. So I want to start from the first entry and I want to grab 3 entries, so I'll just write 0, comma 3. Now if I go and see, it will list me 3 entries starting from the 0th index. Now let us just edit it in line. Now if I want to start from the 0, 1, 2, third index, right? So third index is 5, so 0, 1, 2 and 3. So if my index is 3, now it will skip these 3 entries and start from 5. So let's see that. See, now you can see it's starting from 5, 6, 7. So this is third index, fourth index, fifth index. So if I write here 6 now, so it will again show me 3 entries starting from 6th index. Go, now we can see 8, 9 and 13. So this is how it's actually pagination work. Somehow we need to run this query for each page. So we need to recognize on which page we are, and as per our page we need to pass the offset and limit. So this first parameter here is known as offset, and this second parameter here is known as limit. So offset is the starting index of the listing, and limit is the number of entries we want to show in our page. So this is how we run the query in pagination. So on each page the user clicks, we should modify our offset and keep the limit the same. So if we are in the first page, our limit should be 0. If we are in the second page, our limit should be 3. And if we are in third page, our limit should be 6, and so on. So this is how we work with pagination in core PHP. Now let's see on CI how do we do this. So in CI actually we have a library which is responsible for pagination, and that library is known as pagination library, which is inside system and libraries. All of the libraries are stored here. So we have pagination library here, so we don't want to touch that, we just want to use that library. So inside our core we have inside admin news controller, and this index function is responsible for the listing of the page. So if we go and see localhost / ci, this is our home page. Let's go to admin login admin / 12356. So if you click on news, you will see the list of the news over here. So this is our news listing page. So somehow we need to show 3 news on each page and have a pagination in the bottom, and that lists out the number of pages. So 1, 2 and 3, and if you click on 1, these 3 should show. If you click on 2, these 3 should show, and if you click on 3, these 3 should show. So that is what we are going to do today. So first of all, since pagination is not used frequently, it is only used in the listing page, so we don't generally auto load this through config and auto load. So we have auto loaded some libraries here. You can see we have database library, session library, because session library is used throughout the admin panel and sometimes even in front end. Similar database is used throughout the project. So these are some of the libraries that we auto loaded. We could also auto load the pagination by just giving the comma here and writing pagination, but we won't be doing that because pagination is not used as frequently as these libraries. So what we'll be doing is we'll be specifically mentioning the pagination library, loading the pagination library in those places where we have to use it. So in order to do that, what we can do is we can load the library this way. So this load library, and the name of my library is pagination. So I've loaded my pagination library. Now secondly, what I want to do is I want to pass some parameters to this pagination. That is why I open this documentation here. There are few configuration index that I need to initialize before loading the library. So first things first, I need to know what is my base URL. So on which URL I would like to use pagination. So basically base URL means that URL where we are trying to implement our pagination. So in our case, it is localhost ci admin news. So this is our base URL. So let us set our base URL in the first config. So config, my base URL would be, it's equivalent to site URL, and after the site URL, which means localhost ci, I need to have admin and news, right? So admin and news, and it is not, because news automatically loads index function. So after news we need to pass some offset and limit to this. So if we just write, let's say our offset is 3 and our limit is 2, in that case this will assume that 3 is the function, because news is a controller and 3 is the function. So while passing the base URL in our pagination config file, we should explicitly mention the function name after the controller's name, unless we have some route mentioned in our routes.php. So currently we don't have any routes for pagination, we don't have any shortcut URLs. So what is good is, so it is always better to have the name of the function mentioned. So admin news actually means admin news index, so it is automatically calling the index function. This means if I just type index in here, it will do the same, because it will load the admin news index. Parse error, unexpected data. Okay, I've been working in this, that is why. Let me just comment this out for now and save it, refresh it. So admin news index means actually the same thing or as just admin and news. It is exactly the same. There is no difference between the URL. So while writing the base URL of the base URL for the pagination library, we should explicitly mention the name of the function this way. So this is our base URL. Second thing that I need is the number of entries, total in number of entries in our database. For example, here you can see that I have 9 entries and I want to show 3 entries in each page. So I should have 3 links for pagination, page number 1, page number 2, page number 3, because 9 divided by 3 is 3. So I need to have 3 different links. First for page number 1, second for page number 2, and third for page number 3. So how do we get that? We get that by dividing total number of rows by the total number of entries we want to show in the in each page. So we need to have two things for pagination to work properly. First of all, we need to know the total number of rows, and second thing, we need to know how many entries we want to show in each page, right? So first thing, we need to get the total number of rows and assign it in a index called total underscore rows. So we need another index for config, that is total underscore rows, and we need to assign the total number of rows or total number of entries in our database for news. So let us just call a function in a model to grab the number of rows from the database. So in order to do that, what we can do is we can just call news underscore model and create a function called count all. Okay, and that's it. So we'll be creating a function called count all inside our news model, which is here. So let us create a function called count all. I would like to create it over here. So function count all should count all the news in our database. So I will just write this db get news, and instead of result I'll just write count. So here we did result, so it grabbed the entries and returned it. So if we just write count, it will just count the number of rows and return it. So let us just return the number of count of the news table. So let us see if we are getting the number of rows correctly. So let us just echo this and die it over here to see if we are getting the number of rows correctly. So if it's correct, it should show 9 count underscore. So I think I miss. So it should be count underscore result, I think. Let's see. Let me just quickly open the documentation, Codeigniter. And let's say I want to read the manual and count result. It should be here, somewhere here. So Control F, count. It's num underscore fields, not count. I mixed some framework. Since I work on multiple framework, I am not. It's fine here. I just need to modify here. So instead of count, I should have num underscore fields. Is it num underscore fields or num underscore rows? I'm still confused. And this is not. This is something else. I need to find something else here. It should be count underscore result, count underscore row, count. It should be count num underscore rows. It should be num underscore rows, right? It should be num underscore rows. So let's see now if it's returning the true. So we are getting 9 now. So that's what we want. We want the total number of rows or total number of entries from news, and we are getting that from num underscore rows. So we got the total number of news from the database by calling this function, and we have assigned it to config total rows. So we have achieved 2 configurations, so base URL and total number of rows. So we've got them both. And third thing that we need is total number of entries that I want to show in every page, and that I need to assign in per page. So I'll write another config. So config and per page. So in each page I want to show 3 entries, right? Okay. So here we go. Now second thing what I want to do is I want to initialize this config to the pagination. This is just a variable that we just defined. Now I want to send this variable to my pagination library. I want to initialize my pagination library using this configuration. So what I can do is this pagination initialize, initialize, and I want to pass this config to this function. So by doing this, now my pagination library is ready to work. Okay. Now after doing this, let us see if we have got our number of links to be shown in the view file correctly. So in order to do that, what I can do is I can just open my view file, and inside my admin we have a news folder, and index is the place where we generally display our pagination links. or list our page. So in order to list the links, I can just write this much of code inside my view file. I'll just copy this, and below the table, after the table has been closed, I would like to display my links, which is a PHP code. So I need to have PHP open and PHP close over here. So this code here, this pagination create link, will be responsible to generate the links that I want in my page. So let's see, refresh this. This is my table, and below the table I have 1, 2, and 3, which is working fine. Now I need to make this work properly, right? So currently you can see that my links are fine. See, so whenever I click on 2, I got to index 3. Whenever I click on 1, I got nothing, right? So 0. Whenever I click on 3, I got index 6. So we are getting our offset properly. So for first, there is nothing, blank. For second page, we have our index 3. Automatically my pagination library is generating my offset properly. And for 3, I'm getting 6. So this is our offset. So in our first page, we want from 0 to 3, and in second page we want 6 to 6, and number of limit will be 3. And in the second page, I would like to start from 3, and I want 3 entries, right? So we are getting our offset from our URL. Okay, so in index page, I'm passing an offset this way, so I can receive the offset in my controller by just writing $offset, right? So our offset is now being sent to this index page this way. So if there is no offset, for example, in this case, in 1, it is just, let me just remove this first. So when I'm clicking on 1, you can see there is no offset being passed in the URL. So I need to write something like whenever I'm passing the offset. So if we have like index/3, it will work because we have the offset being sent to the function. And if we have 6, it will work because we have a parameter or argument in our function that is expecting offset. But in case of page number 1, it will throw us an error. See, page number 1 should, if I save this and refresh this, you will see that page number 1 will show me an error because it is expecting for a parameter or argument in this function. So what we should say is, for page number 1 explicitly, if there is no offset being sent, I need to give a default value for offset, and to do that I'll just assign a default value. So offset equals to 0. By assigning offset equals to 0, this means if there is no offset being sent through URL, our offset will be by default 0. So for the first page, our offset will be 0. For second page, our offset will be 3. And for third page, our offset will be 6. Now, instead of doing get all, I need to pass the limit and the offset. Okay, so I will not I will have to modify this page and this function get all by passing the limit and offset. So my limit would be 3, right? So this is my limit. I can just pass this variable or just write 3 manually. So I'll just pass this variable so that we can only change in a single place if you want to modify the number of entries I want to show in each page later on. So I'm just sending config per page, which is 3, right? So this is my limit, and my offset is $offset. So I'm sending 2 parameters in get all, which is here. So I need to have a variable here to receive them. So first parameter was limit and second parameter was offset, right? Now I can just pass these 2 parameters this way to my query builder. So first of all, my limit will be $limit, and my offset would be this db offset $offset, this way. Or I can just write comma separately. Let me just check quickly if this works. I'm not sure. So this is working, right? AA, another title, sample title. For my first, in my page number 2, I have this different entry, and in my page number 3, I have this, right? Let me confirm. In my CI, I have AA, another title, sample title, because since I'm having another function order by id descending, so it is starting from the last entry. So first three, and these are first three, and this is for the second page, and this is for the third page, which is showing exactly how we want. So page number 2, perfect. Page number 1, perfect. Page number 3 is perfect. So Codeigniter automatically builds the previous link and next link automatically. Now we can just design these links in order to make it look a little bit better. We can do that by CSS, which I will not be covering in today's tutorial. But this is how pagination works. So quickly, let us just review what we did. First thing that we did was we loaded our pagination library in our index page. This way we created some configurations, 3 configurations basically: base URL, total rows, and per page. These were the 3 configurations that we created, and after that we initialized those configuration in our pagination library by calling Initialize function. That was it. So after initializing our config to our pagination library, now what we did was we just created our links for the pagination by calling this. So based on our total rows and number of page in each row and the base URL, it will automatically generate us the links as per it. So it will concatenate our base URL along with the offset. So in order to receive that offset in index.php, we created a variable inside the function as a parameter, so it received the offset each time. But for the, as we know, the first link, the page number 1, is always base URL and it does not require any offset. So in order to manage that, what we did was we wrote this default value for the offset. So if no offset is being passed to the index function, we are assigning a default value 0 to the offset. So by doing this, the offset for the page number 1 will automatically be 0. Now finally, in order to grab the entries from the database using getAll function, what I did was I passed the limit and passed the offset to the getAll function. So our limit is 3, which is assigned in config per page. So I pass config per page to the function as a first parameter, and our limit or our offset is, we receive our offset from the offset variable, which is being passed to the pagination link through this URL. So I receive the offset and I'm sending the offset as the second parameter. So we are sending 2 variables. The first one is the limit and the second one is the offset to our getAll function in our news model. So inside getAll, I'm receiving the first as a limit and the second as the offset. So I'm assigning this to be limit as limit, this to be offset as offset, and this order by ID. So I'm getting my result as per our code. So in my first case, you can see there is no limit and there is no offset being passed in the URL. So by doing this, my offset is assigned as 0 by default, and that 0 is being sent as offset, and my limit is 3. So in my first page, what it is doing, it is sending the offset to be 0 and limit to be 3. So it grabbed from the 0th index to 3rd index in descending order ID. Now in the case of page number 2, we can see that the offset is being sent as 3. So in this variable now, the 0 is being replaced by 3. So while sending the variables to the getAll function, my limit is being sent as 3 and my offset is also being sent as 3. So it is grabbing data from the database as per my limit and offset. And finally, in page number 3, when you click on page number 3, it is sending offset to be 6. So in that case, my offset is 6 now. So in this function, we are sending 3 as the first parameter and 6 as second parameter. And hence, we are also receiving 3 as the first parameter and 6 as the second parameter for page number 3. And the query is executed accordingly in this function. So this is how we work on pagination using Codeigniter. I hope you liked the video, you understood what I explained today. And if you did not, don't forget to mention it in the comment. And if you like the video, if you understood the video, don't forget to click on thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and at the same time share my videos so that all of your friends who are interested in learning PHP Codeigniter gets the chance to learn it. And I'll see you guys tomorrow with the new video. Till then, have a nice time and practice well. Until then, goodbye.